What's up, everybody? It's Coach Kev. LSU via South Carolina's women's basketball game had a little altercation with some pushing and some shoving in the final moments of the contest. Are incidents like this good or bad for women's basketball? Here's Skip Bayless, Rachel Nichols, and Keyshawn Johnson talking about the whole situation. Let's listen to them, and then you'll hear my thoughts.
South Carolina's Camila Cardoso was one of 6 players ejected from the SEC championship game with about 2 minutes left, and South Carolina up 7 after she pushed down LSU's Flaw-J Johnson after Johnson had bumped South Carolina's Ashlyn Watkins. Cardoso almost certainly will be suspended for the undefeated South Carolina's first-round NCAA tournament game, but that'll be against a 16 seed, so they should be okay there.
So as you see, the LSU player gave the South Carolina a little nudge, a little bump, and then the girl from South Carolina didn't take too kind to that little bump, ran up on her and gave her a nice little shove to the ground.
So here was the post-game reaction from LSU coach Kim Mulkey and from LSU star Angel Reese.
I wish she would have pushed Angel Reese. Don't push a kid. You 6'8", don't push somebody that little. That was uncalled for, in my opinion. Let those 2 girls that were jawing, let them go at it.
We're not scared of South Carolina, and I'm going to repeat that. We're not scared of South Carolina. And a lot of people are scared of them, and we came in and battled and battled and battled and battled and battled to the end. And, of course, we came up short, but we'll see them again.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, that's some tough talk for the team that lost. Coach Mulkey, people are getting on her for her comments saying she should have pushed somebody her own side, telling that the South Carolina girl should have pushed somebody her own side. I don't know about that, Coach. As a coach, I think you got to be bigger than the situation and kind of try to, for lack of a better word, push it to the side. Kind of, okay, the incident happened. Both parties were wrong. Let's move on. Let's continue to play some basketball. She pushed somebody her own size. I'm pretty sure the South Carolina player wouldn't be scared to push Angel Reese. That's just my thoughts.
Rachel, your view of what went down here.
Look, I'm trying not to go on national television and condone violence, but I got to say, I loved it. I loved all of it. I mean, we saw that grit, that fire, and that's, one of the joys of watching sports is you get to see that intense competitiveness, that dirt under your fingernails type stuff, and it took a long time for women to convince society that they deserve to get to have all those feelings too. And we're still trying to convince a segment of society that women's sports, women basketball, it's not just la-di-da, girls, skipping up and down the court and taking long jumpers. This is a real competition with real stakes. And that is what you saw, that passion, that fire. And for me, it was a joy to see. And, a couple people got their feelings bent out of shape.
They did.
As Angel says, we'll see what happens next time.
Yeah. I totally agree with Rachel when she says that. I forget who said it. I don't know if it was Caitlin Clark or if it might have been Angel Reese, who said that it's okay for the women to show emotion, that as women, they got to be more comfortable with showing that emotion in the game, during the game. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. In the men's game, the men's side, you always see them, if they score against a player, they'll do the sign like they're too little. They'll be like, oh, he's too small. They'll hit a 3. They'll do the 3-point. They'll do all the antics after a big-time dunk. All you see is, let's go! Like a big scream like that. Like, that's what you see all up and down the men's game. And I believe that the women should incorporate that into their game and be okay with showing emotion. You make a big play and one, stare her down after a big play. A big-time 3, look at the crowd and be like, 3-pointer, dagger. Like, that's big time. I think they should continue to do that and continue to embrace it and add it to the women's game, because that, in turn, will definitely bring more eyes to their sport.
I'm glad there wasn't no real blows being thrown. I don't mind the pushing and the shoving.
She got shoved down.
Yeah, and Kim Mulkey, coach of LSU, is right, though. You aggressively picking on a smaller player that,
Cardoso's 6'7". She's 6'7".
That's huge, though. And, and pushing her down glad nobody got seriously hurt. But South Carolina, the Gamecocks, that's Don Staley, right? That's Coach Staley. That's just who she is.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm a real USC Trojan, but that's like my girls' team in South Carolina because I know Don pretty well, and so
still USC, right?
Yeah, but it ain't. No. It's not the same. It's a different one, Skip. But I'm all with it, man. I'm with you, Rachel. You get an opportunity to see the grit, the grind. It just ain't all like you said, looking pretty, shooting jumpers. They actually are in the mix. You know.
So the only thing I disagree with, so Keyshawn kind of reiterated what Rachel said. The only thing I disagree with is I don't think the South Carolina girl just pushed her because she's smaller. I think she pushed her because she bumped her teammate. So if that was Angel Reese bumping South Carolina, her teammate, I believe that girl would have still ran up on Angel Reese and pushed Angel Reese. I don't think the size has to do with this situation. I think the overall picture and what's happening is that the girl bumped my teammate, so I'm running up on that girl and showing her that you're not going to touch my teammate like that. I respect it.
I'm just glad no blows were thrown and nobody got hurt.
Okay. I want to point out that was the 16th straight win by South Carolina over LSU. Yep. 16 in a row, including all 4 since Kim Mulkey took over at LSU.
Scared of them, huh?
Hey, I don't know about that. And I did love what Dawn Staley, the best coach in women's basketball, said after the game, and I'm going to quote it, that would have never happened with last year's team because they would have been so political about it. Aaliyah, who's Boston, who was the WNBA Rookie of the Year, she was with South Carolina last year, probably would have been the referee and been like, no, don't do that. And then you've got this team, they're protectors. So the 6'7" girl says, no, I'm sorry. And Cardoso's going to be a high pick in the WNBA draft. And she went and protected and enforced. And I've never used enforced in the context of women's basketball, but that's what happened.
Yes.
Okay.
I hope it doesn't derail them from, winning a championship because players will be ejected and whatnot.
No.
I mean, to Skip's point, they're playing a 16
they're playing a 16 seed.
And
by the way, the other...
See? Skip got it. I don't believe it has to do with the size of the girl. She was an enforcer. She saw her teammate getting bumped, so she reacted the way she thought she should have reacted. I agree.
Who got ejected were because they were bench players who left the bench, and you cannot, in men's or women's basketball, you cannot leave the bench or you're going to be gone for a game.
Yeah.
So I like that rule because then you don't escalate what's happening. What did scare me, that Flo J. Johnson's brother went over the scores table, and you can see him get in the mix. He gets in the mix, and the security got to him because he was going after Cardoso to protect his sister. And it's a little, I don't know if you can see it here, but he jumps into the area.
Yeah,
I actually thought that was security.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, no, see, they're taking him off.
Okay.
Now, that's where we're kind of going too far. So the brother jumped over to protect his sister, Floja. You can't do that. At the end of the day, you can't do that. As a man, first of all, you can't get... First of all, as a man, you can't get involved. Secondly, this has nothing to do with you. Like, it's going to be policed by the players and by the refs and everybody on the court. You running from the stands now just adds a different energy of now other people running at the stands, and now that turns into the malice in the palace, which is exactly what we don't want.
So for me, that is dangerous.
That's not okay. That's a different thing.
Okay.
That's not okay.
They said he was not...
Chill, bro.
Yeah, he was not arrested because he was curtailed quickly. The security was all over it, and they handled it great. I mean, everybody got broken up fairly
the whole
quickly.
time, I thought that was security there because he had on all black.
Yeah.
And then the actual security behind him, the police officer behind him jumped over. He had on all black, so I didn't even really see him pull him off till just now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and look, Kim Mulkey did make one good point. Oh, wow, yeah. Kim Mulkey brought up another point after in that post-game press conference that there were, a couple shooting fouls, that sort of thing. But in terms of in the game, sort of those fouls that referees use to calm things down, there were only 2 of those in the entire fourth quarter. And so those kinds of fouls, those kinds of calls is how officials say, let's take a step back here, that sort of thing. And Kim's point was that just didn't really happen in this game. And that's what leads to this kind of escalation.
So my biggest takeaway from their tournament was South Carolina actually struggled in its first game against Texas A&M, and then Cardoso, who's never made a 3 in college, banks one in at the buzzer to beat Tennessee, or they would have lost to Tennessee. But they're and it looked to me like they were just pointing toward we want LSU, and they beat them fairly handily again. So here we go. Very interesting.
So for me, my thoughts on the entire situation. I think it's good for women's basketball. I believe that in all sports, all entertainment, we like that energy of dislike, of rivalries, of not liking each other, of not being friends, especially when it comes to sports and competing against each other. It brings out another level of competition. But when we say that, we always want it to get here. And we don't mind it being here. But once it gets here, whether that's throwing punches, people coming out of stands, and just anything wild you can think of, that's where we draw the line. But if we could tote this line of emotion and of rivalries, of energy, of not liking each other, that's what sports is all about. And I believe that the women's game definitely should add that to their sport. I'm not mad at this. She came up, saw her teammate bump, defended her teammate. There was a scuffle, pushing, shoving, boom, boom, boom. Everybody got back to their place. And the game finished. South Carolina won. After the game, LSU still talking junk like they don't want to see us. Coaches talking junk like, hey, I mean, this is what sports is about, right? This is what we love to see. This is what we love to watch. Continue to do this. Keep it at a good line, but keep the rivalry. You don't like each other. Between the lines, it's about my team against your team. We're not friends. We want to show you we're the best, and we're going to use our emotions, our skills, everything that we can do within the confines of the game to show and prove that we are better than you. What are your thoughts on this entire situation? Do you believe the scuffle was good? Who do you believe was wrong? If there was a wrong and a right, do you believe that this situation is good for women's basketball? Do you think emotion, they need to continue to add emotion and just that energy and rivalry energy into the game of women's basketball? Leave all your thoughts in the comments below. Till next time, this is Coach Cav, and I'm out of here. Peace.